What's up? This is Nick, head coach of Cerulean City Psyducks. Got my commentary this week with my battle against Casey of the let me try that again. I am facing Casey of the Seafoam Island Squirtle Squad. So this week, this battle was a bit concerning because he has a lot of things on his team that can really just be kind of annoying and mess with things, but it was another one of those weeks where I'm like, okay, I'm going to plan for this, this, and this, and most of that stuff didn't come. So what he brings up first is his slaking Robert Barone. Even though his name is Robert Barone and it was a female, but that's beside the point. But that was something where I'm like, that's one of the Pokemon I didn't know what to do with. So I immediately went for that Will-O-Wisp to try and get a burn off on it, just because if I can have his attack, I'm looking really good. Because that guy really, if you have his attack, he's not hitting quite as hard as he can, because he can hit really hard. And this thing too, friggin', I wasn't sure what it was gonna do. I knew it had a variety of moves, so I kind of just didn't want to bring certain things out against it because I didn't know what to do with it. So I bring out my Metagross because I know he can do some work, and I set up that speed boost right there, and he U-turns right in my face, which it does a little bit of damage, but nothing I was too worried about. So he brings in Superfly, which makes sense. It's a ground type Pokemon, so I can't use anything like Earthquake, but I can use an Ice Punch. And then yeah, brings him down, triggers that Focus Sash, which I was kind of annoyed by that because that was a very easy KO for me, and then I take all this damage, which I really did not want to take if I didn't have to. So that was a bit annoying, but right on this turn he stays in. I'm faster, so I just pick up that easy 1 HP KO with the Ice Punch, because I was considering bringing Earthquake on my Metagross's team, but it really just wasn't going to be worth it. And right here I bust out my big ol' Z move, and I was really hoping, I'm like, okay, this is Stab, it's really powerful. Maybe I can break through his defense, because, I mean, he's got a really solid defense, so I just go with this big old Corkscrew Crash. And he nails him right in the face. Probably for that 1 HP, I probably should have used Meteor Mash to see if I could get that attack up, and then his return comes out and just finishes me off. Even though it's not very effective, he does enough damage that I really don't want to stay out against that. So now I bring in the big old D9O plant. Venusaur D9O plant? I can't talk today. And he leaves, obviously, because he doesn't want to stay in on that Truant turn. And this is kind of his core of the whole fight, is he just brings this thing out, U-turns it into Robert Barone, who can then start smacking things again. But since I know somebody has to take this attack, I just go for the knockoff, and luckily it is undefined, so no more Eviolite for that, which, man, that thing is annoying with an Eviolite, because 95s across the board really become annoying in their defenses, because it can just be super bulky. And here again, I still wasn't sure what undefined might be using, so he goes for another U-turn, and I'm like, okay, I was expecting some type of flying move or psychic move, because I know he's got a pretty diverse move pool. And then out comes Robert Barone again, and he's weak, and I'm at full health, so I'm like, I don't know exactly what I want to do here, but I decide it's not worth it to stay in. Let's bring in Landfill. I know he can take a big old punch to the face, and I can threaten him with some fire, and I was expecting that Earthquake, so Levitate nukes it. And for this move, I don't remember if I just went for an attack. I may have. Yeah, I just went for the Hydro Pump because I'm like, you know what? He's not staying because he's not going to do anything and he doesn't want to get burned. So Undefined is now looking pretty weak. So I should have gone for a U-turn. I don't know why I didn't. Oh no, I know why I didn't, because I was expecting the U-turn. So I'm like, okay, here's someone who can take that hit really well, and then I have my Pokemon ready for whoever comes in, possibly Robert Barone. But instead, he brings in Tusker, the first time that his Mamoswine shows up in the league so far, I think. And I am back up at full health, and this thing I'm like, I don't know what it's going to do, so I just go for the Protect to kind of just fish and see what he's going for. And Iron Head, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, that's really nice. I don't wanna do that. So I'm just switching out because that's gonna do a whole lot of damage to me. So I bring back in Dino Plant because I know he takes some physical hits. Won't really be too concerned. Plus he's a major threat to Mamoswine. So I'm like, okay, do you want to stay in against me? No, he doesn't want to stay in against me. So he switches out and brings in Undefined again, which is a little annoying, but he's low enough health. Oh yeah, I went for the Synthesis, right. Because I knew he was going to switch or attack again, and I wasn't worried either way. So I go for that full health. Undefined is now looking pretty weak. I probably should have just gone for Giga Drain. I don't know if I had it. And then just go for another knockoff, just in case he decided to switch, which was a bad decision on my choice, because I didn't pick up the KO, and he gets to rest, which is kind of annoying. And then at this point, I hadn't realized, I assumed type Null was similar to Silvally before this, so I didn't want to throw any... I didn't know what type he was, but I didn't really realize until later. He's just a normal type. He doesn't get the... whatever it is, the RSK system. So I just start laying out the attacks now. Sludge Bombs, my big heavy damage, and he just stays in. And I believe the Sludge Bomb picks up the KO. No, it doesn't. Leaves him with like 1 health again. And he turns out. So this thing was majorly annoying the whole fight for me because it really just never died. I think the next time it comes in it dies, but that's because it's super weak at that point. And this was big, a 10% chance for that to miss, and it was very crucial. I don't know if that would have KO'd me. I think when I asked Casey, he said it would do like 90% damage, so it would have been close. But yeah, now this is another matchup I did not want going on, so I'm like, no sir, I am switching out. Unfortunately, I did sacrifice my Metagross early, which I shouldn't have, because he would have been an even better bring into this, because he would have doubly resisted it. But I mean, Heatran's got great special defense, so bringing it into this Genesis Supernova is an easy pick every time. Even though I believe I calced it, and I don't think this would have OKO'd Venusaur, but I may have been wrong on that, and I didn't want to take that chance, so I just switch out because I don't feel like losing my Venusaur. So yeah, that does some pretty good damage, and sets up that terrain as well. But this turn I'm like, okay, he might be able to do a Focus Blast, but I'm not too worried about that. Well, me forgetting it is Mew, who learns pretty much every move under the sun, whips out an Earth Power, and throughout this battle I think you can see it if you pay attention, but 5 out of 6 of his Pokemon had some type of ground attack. So 3 of them had Earthquake, 2 of them had Earth Power. So Heatran really just couldn't do much of anything that whole fight because there were so many threats all over the place. So I just come out busting the Hydro Pump on the Kawaii 5-0 and get a critical hit, which was super nice. And then recover with my leftovers, which does bring me back up above half, which at this point I'm not sure if I would have survived another Psychic. I might have. But here I just go for another Hydro Pump, and it misses, which is annoying, but it really didn't change anything. But this was actually good that he didn't go for the other attack. I may have survived it, but also I just keep getting more healing. And for the safe move, I just go with my Hidden Power, which I believe it was Hidden Power Ice this week, just in case Rotom had to go up against Flygon. But, I mean, it's enough to do normal damage, finish him off, and it wouldn't have missed. That's what I really wanted, was an attack that would not miss. So he brings out Tusker. I'm like, I can take pretty much any attack from him. Yeah, this knockoff gets rid of my leftovers, which is unfortunate, and then shows some more of his Life Orb damage, but a big ol' Hydro Pump comes out, and that's just enough to take out Tusker, because super effective damage, plus stab, plus a critical, it's way more than enough to take him out. So Yas Queen comes out, and this thing, another ground-type Pokemon. So Heatran, like I said, Heatran really did not stand a chance this fight. There was almost nothing he could do the entire time. And Landfill does get taken out by that Sludge Wave just because he was weak enough, and he hadn't had his leftover heals, so I'm like, okay, Dino Plant can come in, can deal with this thing pretty readily. And it does an Ice Beam, which does hit decently hard, even through the thick fat. And I know, I know an attack's coming out. I'm not sure if I'm faster, so let's just synthesis, heal all the way back up, just because at this point I'm like, okay, he's only got 2 left, I'm not super worried, and I know I can take any of these hits. So hidden power, which maybe this was hidden power ice. I don't even know what I was doing. I never remember my hidden powers. But yeah, he just keeps going for that big damage with Sludge Wave. And those hurt, brings me down to red, and I'm like, okay, nope. Let's just synthesis, let's keep this boy alive as long as I can. But I think I fairly quickly realized, I think it's this turn, I'm like, you know what? There's no point in stalling anymore. Just get as much damage out on this as I can, so that I can bring in Garcon and clean up. Oh no, I do one more turn of synthesis, so yeah. At this point, I think this is when I'm like, okay, this isn't working, because at this point I'm netted 6 HP in the positive, so it would have taken all of my synthesis to get out of the dying in 2 hits situation. And he gets a crit anyways, so this was a good turn for me to decide, you know what, fuck it, let's just go for the attack. And brings it down into red, which is very nice. It didn't need to be that low. Where it was before would have been fine, but luckily I did not switch out into Crawdaunt, because when I checked calcs later, Crawdaunt would not survive a Sludge Wave from the Nidoqueen. So Garcon comes in, and an easy Aqua Jet to pick up this kill. I mean, it would have done like 80% damage anyways, but I wanted to make sure it was as weak as possible, and I lose a little bit of health with my Life Orb, and now Kawaii 5-0 comes in, and I ran this calculator, and it had pretty much the exact range of health that was enough to pick up a KO. Anything more in it may have survived and been able to kill me, but it did not live. I lived, and I was able to pick up that final KO with Garcon. So that was it. That is the victory for me. He brought a whole lot of ground attacks on his team, so earthquakes and earth powers, all very scary things that weren't very nice, but they did not end up being a big enough threat for me to lose. So I did pick up that win, and this week I fight Jake of the Puzzle City Pick-a-Peck, so we'll see how that one goes. But otherwise, I will see you next week.